Guys. Um, I've already mentioned it before, different names of certain people, some of the stuff they're pulling. I'm going to mention, okay, so Sure Park, Alberta, Canada, I've already mentioned some of the stuff going on with spiritual warfare towards me. I was having stuff where I was waking up and I was having stuff try to come at me while I slept. Amber Colbert tried to put holds on my aura. I already mentioned another video. She actually tried to look at my dick in the middle of the night. Her head was literally right underneath the covers psychically. She did that. Jillian Wisborg was trying to push at my back a actual narcissist I had in a past relationship. So she tried to push that at me. This started, I'm not sure how many weeks ago now. Month-ish. So she was doing that. Amber tried to fuck with my back in the bath, like in going in the shower in the tub. Tried to start pulling this at me when I was going for walks. I already said, Chelsea Smith, Brandon Jacobs, his wife, Heather, who had already group attacked me. They were involved in 2 group attacks towards me. I had that with, there's one out front, and there was one that happened at the kitchen table. They were trying to mess with me when I was going on walks. They were pulling all this sort of stuff. They had their friend Jen and Sherwood Park, who also she was teaching yin, and she worked at Moto in Sherwood Park. She's already done spells towards me and done witchcraft towards me, and they had her try to get involved. How many people now? Jacqueline Mulick, I already mentioned her before. I mentioned before some of the stuff that was being done, but I'm just gonna keep naming people and stuff that I saw them doing. Jill Wisborg in Ontario was trying to get her coach, Tarek Bibi, who now I found out it's not just dark Kryptonian energies, it's also black magic he was involved in. So he was using both of those. He would link light workers in pyramids on the astral that he'd create and put himself on the top of it. So there was times she would try to get something going psychically at night and even sexually, psychically. And then she'd try to put a marker on me and then try to connect to that guy, which is her coach, which is based out of Toronto, which the guy actually did a fucking TED Talk, and he's a drug dealer, okay? He is a drug dealer who literally calls himself, like he literally is supposed to be doing coaching, but he's a drug dealer. He is a drug dealer. Most of his income comes from drug money. And then he goes and he links light workers in a pyramid on the astral plane, and he does black magic and dark Kryptonian energies for manifesting. Yeah. That's what he does. So she different times was trying to link me into a pyramid with this stuff to try to use my energy. She tried to dump her issues onto my chakras to see how I would handle her issues. She took part in an attack in my family's basement where I ended up having a head tick after. And after healing all this stuff, I've been remembering more, where it's very specifically, for no reason, she just dumped shit on me. And all this sort of stuff. Then after the fact, after taking part in that, tried to do bullying towards me, tried to do attacks towards me after I was healing, tried to mess with me to the point, I remember walking into a church feeling suicidal, and literally she all of a sudden switched how she was acting, then goes, "Oh, Corey, you okay?" Psychically. I was in the kitchen, she tried to project herself, and then all of a sudden kind of distort, or her face would kind of go a bit, and then she'd try to put an image of herself, and then start trying to do like dark witchcraft at me. Yeah, I'm remembering this. Like, literally, I took a sleeping pill. I was sleeping in the basement at the time. Tried to project near the bed and say stuff like, "You want one of my tits?" This is how fucking nuts she is. And I took a sleeping pill and needed to sleep. This is how fucked up that girl is. She was, years ago, I woke up and she was trying to watch me sleep. Sit in a chair projected and trying to watch me sleep. Tried to put a bind on me while I slept the one time. This is stuff of like, so for what happened in that basement with that attack, she had never had any sort of attack or anything from me. I said on YouTube I wanted nothing to do with her after how she acted when I met up with her. I met up with her in Vancouver. I already talked about this on YouTube. All this sort of stuff there. And with how she acted, I said it on a video at one point, I was like, I want nothing to do with her. And this one other person there, that narcissist. So, and that bothered her. So because that hurt her feelings, she turned around during a group attack at me and hopped in and dumped a bunch of stuff on me to try to harm me on top of all this other stuff I was going through. And I had a head tick because I hurt her fucking feelings, because said I didn't want anything to do with her. because of how she acted, which I described on a video on YouTube. Yeah. She attacked me on Vancouver Island after I went to go help her for no reason. Just threw stuff at my neck and tried to attack me and all this sort of shit coming out. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah. So that girl has 2 souls in one body. I saw her sit beside me in a vehicle on that island, completely shift into, I don't even know what you describe it. Top to bottom, it was not the same person. Completely just shifted, and I looked over and I was like, what is going on? What is going on right now? And then I said, are you all right? Like, what's, and she goes, oh, it's just woman problems. And I'm like, everything was different. Like, I'm looking, I'm like, what is she dealing with? What is going on with her? So there's stuff like that people don't know. That's 2 souls in one body. I have seen 1 minute she says goodbye to me at the airport and she's crying, and in between that was back and forth, acting like throwing attack in there. Like what I saw of like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah, she's a drug dealer, and I already named it before. She had her friend who works at Goodness Me. She manages Goodness Me in Hamilton, Ontario. Monica do dark witchcraft towards me. They tried to. There is a soul family member of mine out there that a couple of them, her friend, and Amber Colbert out of Ontario, one of my first teachers who I mentioned, tried to. They tried to send me a fake message through. It was I'd say mutual friends account on Facebook. They tried to lie and throw shit in there. Some of the shit that has been pulled, I just want to keep naming it, okay? The stuff that I'm like, what the fuck? I've told people that I know, like friends of mine, like, what? And I'm like, yeah. I've had enough. Because I've been clearing the stuff I've been mentioning on Instagram. Some of the stuff I've been clearing. I literally was out back. I don't even want to mention it. I was doing a healing out back. I won't get into detail, okay? And I had stuff trying to come at me. And I'm like, you fucking kidding me? And I mean, this has been like 4 years, and I remember, like, I literally saw Joan attack my parent. Like, attacked my parents, psychically attacked my parents. And I said it on a video. It was like, fuck this, I had enough. So I said it before, she attacked me like 40 times before I ever hit back at this girl. 40 fucking times, literally 40 times. Fucked with one of my best friends at the time, tried to fuck with his dream, tried to fuck with him, tried to mess with him. I'm like, what the hell? I had to remove dark witchcraft and black magic off of, I don't know how many people. Multiple people looked at her picture and said they could just see the evil in her, that she was just evil. And this was like 3 or 4 light workers looked at her like, oh my God, I can just see the evil in her. And it just looked like, like she'd gone into just, like, trying to look like a dark witch. But she's a fairy and a drug dealer. And she acts like she's an herbalist. She's not. Like, she went to school for herbalist. The money that she lives off of is drug money. So she lives off of drug money, mainly drug money. Yeah, pulling this stuff towards me. I just fully remembering more and more of this. Anyone that, and I already said some of the stuff about the, like with her, some of the people with Sherwood Park, Alberta, that work at Moto or they are connected to Park Integrative, she was trying to, or they tried to, okay, I already mentioned some of the stuff with them. Okay, I had people that tried to get me to reconnect to 2 narcissists that abused me. Jillian herself told me what she picked up on about one ex of mine, saying what she tried to pull towards me because of my light. That she literally pulled abuse towards me because of my light. Yeah. Interesting. Then she turns around and she was trying to get me to reconnect to that person and to both narcs that abused me. Jillian herself is just about a narcissist. Every time I check, she's just, like, identifies as one. Literally. Just. So that's what's fucked is when I have gone and even sent messages to, like, a guy she's done a video with on, she was on a podcast. This is the part that's fucked, okay? So I sent a message to the one guy. I'm like, look, she pulled all this sort of abuse. She would be using sex with the guys or sexual energy, something sexual with them to do one of these with the guys. So what she does. I've seen it for years. How she uses that stuff. It's to the point I literally said from the waist down, she's not using that as intended. I would pick up on like dark or black. Yeah, it is to that point. I would see that. I was like, what the fuck? She was throwing sexual energy darts at guys, spells, programs, manipulation, markers, having them linked in pyramids with her coach there to try to use them for their energy, all sorts of stuff. Yeah, I want people to know that. So she goes on podcasts and she's on there talking about, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? She took part in an attack that I had a head tick, and she's on there talking about mental health. She's actually talking about mental health. There is multiple things that she had posted that I was like, what the fuck? That they didn't. She did a fucking thing with David Wolf. And I checked. It's like, why did she get on to do that? I'm like, wonder why that is. There are certain people like that should not be out there teaching. They should not be out there teaching at all. No one should be listening to her. She is a fucking drug dealer. So is her coach. The one did a TED Talk. She went out there with David Wolf. Of like, are you fucking kidding me? If you actually met her and actually like, one of my first teachers was also a teacher of hers, refused to teach her anymore. Refused to teach her. She flat out was like, I'm not going to teach. Like, she wanted to move up on my master level Reiki. Refused to give it to her. Just like, no, I'm not teaching you. I sat there channeling her ancestors about how angry they were at her of what she's doing. They were, I've never seen that before in my life. They were like, come on. It was almost like I sat there, I'm like, oh, your ancestors. They're like, oh, they really want to, oh man, they're angry. Like, they are fucking angry at you. Yeah. And told her exactly. She was not happy that I told her exactly what had to come through. I did not try and filter it. I went, you've been through this, and this. Your ancestors are pissed. And pretty much I believe how she's a fucking drug dealer. All this sort of stuff. Tells me on Vancouver Island it comes to her, she can move pounds of drugs every month. Yeah, it came to me, I can move pounds, so she starts doing that. So she's paying for everything with drug money, okay? And literally did spells towards somebody who would be a mutual friend who I've known since I was a teenager, very good person who's been through narc abuse, multiple narcs, and some other stuff in there too. So a bunch of stuff there. And not wanting me to contact her and tell her how she was acting, she was doing spells at her. And I believe her one other friend, I think, tried to do it too. Yeah. So this level of shit happening, no, I want people to know. I want people to know. So she lives in Hamilton, Ontario. And yeah, she used to work at Goodness Me in Hamilton. And the friend of hers that did Dark Witchcraft towards me, Monica, manages it. She used to work there, John. Okay. And then as far as other warfare there, Amber Colbert still lives out there with her boyfriend, Mark, who owns a paint company. Still lives out there. She herself now, I believe, has been dealing drugs, and she was on medical EI. She had pulled the amount of stuff she tried to pull. Like, literally, Joan went into darkness. Amber went right out. I saw her in the abyss. Was right out there. Went into darkness. So there's that going on. And I'm like literally seeing people that went right into darkness, or they got groups together. This is stuff that, like, as someone has a perspective, like, I am a shaman, I'm a light worker, all this sort of stuff. But if people are getting groups together to pull stuff, I'm going to hit back and defend myself. I said it on other videos. You don't have it where, like, you've got a group of people pulling stuff. Joan was trying to get, next thing you know, her friend Monica, her coach Tarek involved. And I believe even that first teacher of mine. So this was what's fucked. It's not like you're like, oh yeah, they're being their own. Oh no, it's great. Now Jillian's trying to be a dark witch and just looking evil. Great. Now the first teacher I have has gone right into the abyss, covered in darkness. And I'm even hearing the name of her high school, STM, St. Thomas More, out of Hamilton, Ontario. Literally, she's acting like a fucking teenager. The shit she was pulling, I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. I find out there's at least 3 guys she would try to hurt during sex and try to get them to give up power to her. So she used to be one of my first teachers. I said another video, and then I find out all this shit. I was like, oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Then I saw how she was acting. And she went right into the darkness, and it was just, she had this attitude of like a fucking teenager of like, oh, well, whatever, if I'm in it, whatever. And I was like, and shut down her Reiki business years ago and went into doing like drug dealing, all this sort of stuff. And I mean, It's fucked to see some of this stuff, but I'm going to name it. I'll name if it's done, if anything's done towards me or my family or my friends, I'm going to name them. Chelsea Smith and Short Park, I already mentioned some stuff. I put out a clearing at one point. I saw witchcraft around her car. There was so much, just stuff I've seen. So what I found out is she would tell her friends one thing versus what was actually going on, how she was acting towards me for years. Um, and then, yeah, had her friend Jen do witchcraft at me to the point when she walked near me. I remember hearing, I could psychically hear it. Does he know? Does he know? Does he know? Yeah, yeah. Had her friend try to pull stuff towards me. She had tried to have multiple friends try to cause harm towards me. They were trying to entangle with my field. I remember at one point I heard, got you covered, and tried to entangle with my field. So this is after, like, literally, she was involved in 2 group attacks towards me, I mentioned, including one where it was hours out front on the front lawn, and then I went to the backyard, and it was hours trying to come at me, and she was like trying to hold on during that. And before that, her friend Heather Glazer had pulled stuff towards me in the shower. She tried to tune in, the two of them tried to tune into me when masturbating. Um, I know that is like way overshare, but yeah, stuff there. Her friend Heather Glazer projected herself sexually at me pretty much as a woman would be riding on top sexually, okay? Being on top sexually, like projected that at me. This is whether I'm telling you right now how people, you're like, no, how to describe it? This is how certain people have been acting. Certain stuff that's happened. So that was going on. And this sounds like whether you have met these people or saw a picture, like what, this is how people were acting. They went into their shadow or their darkness, and this stuff was being pulled. I already posted pictures and video. My car got kicked, my old car that I sold. They tried to they wanted me to sell the fucking vehicle. I felt it psychically. Literally, they didn't want people to know about the car being kicked. They had a couple people kick the car. That's all connected to Chelsea Smith. I have pictures of the stuff posted on poles near the car, or near the house. There was a picture on the windshield. She tried walking by my family's house trying to intimidate with her boyfriend at the time. All this sort of shit. This has been going from her group over a year. Jillian in Ontario was trying to get me to reconnect to that group to cause harm towards me. Okay? This is the level of stuff. I've gone for walks. Chelsea, her friends were trying to mess with me. I had her mess with me at the last job I worked when I was photographing. I was on photographing gardens. It was like supposed to go on skyscrapers and stuff. And anyways, I remember that, tried to mess with me during that in the lobby before going up on top of the building. Yep, that had happened today. I had it and I said it out loud, but like I had them people trying to mess with. They were trying to do warfare at me while I was driving. Yeah. Chelsea tried to multiple times to press on my Soloplex while driving. She had friends try to pull shit towards me when driving. When I was fucking driving a vehicle. Okay, so I've had enough. So her boyfriend's name is Spencer. I would like Spencer to know that she was, how to describe it, the first time I met her, okay, we talked for half an afternoon, like an entire afternoon, on the street corner. I psychically saw that she had a toe still in that relationship. She mentions to me that her and her boyfriend had broken up before. I mentioned I considered chiropractic school at one point for California, and she does I could move out there and all this sort of stuff and making it. She also says, what did she say to me? I'd walk this path fully open, see what happened, whatever. That she'd be willing to see what would happen. And I remember at the time, like, how to describe it, made it very obvious that she could be available, but she had a boyfriend there. And I kind of, after went, okay, you know what? I took her off my social media at one point because I went, you know what, she's got a boyfriend, this sort of thing. And there would be times when I'd have to say, like, look, you were in my bedroom. Or, look, you're, like, walking beside me with my dog psychically, and talk to her about boundaries, that sort of stuff. Or she walks up and she's riding by with her boyfriend on her bike, and then if she's still with me psychically while I'm sitting out front, and I'm not playing into it with my face looking back of, like, look, she's got a boyfriend there, pulling that. I mentioned the thing at Moto Yoga. She got really angry. She tried to psychically hold my hand, psychically. And I saw a big psychic window, and I didn't show it on my face. And I'm like, no, she's got a boyfriend. I'm in there to clear stuff. And she got really angry. She goes up front and all this anger and all this sort of stuff. And I mean, like, I said it before, like, she's supposed to be a past life helper of mine, all this sort of stuff. But that sort of stuff was going on. And I'm bringing this up because I remember going to yoga where one of her friends, I can feel the vibe, and I'm like, she's really uncomfortable, and how am I being looked at with this? And then I'm finding out psychically of like, wait a minute, what was she saying to her friends? And here's my side of this is what I was seeing, what was going on towards me. I go out to the mountains and her energy's right there around me, trying to know where I am, what I'm doing. The same thing happened in 2 different areas, Revelstoke and Canmore. And I go to those areas and I'm kind of like, okay, like right around there, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And all this sort of stuff, like, kissed me psychically, all this sort of stuff, where I saw it. I'm walking, I looked up, there's a big psychic window above the house, and there she is, she kissed me. I was like, okay. And I mean, this sort of stuff, like, there's a bunch, I could say, a bunch. And then at the same time, I started getting dirty looks for no reason. I started to have that sort of attitude, which I'd already mentioned before. I'd be walking with the dogs, I start getting that sort of attitude. Next thing you know, she has her friend do spells at me. Next thing you know, it's just building all this shit at me. And I was like, that's interesting, because I was putting stuff out to help her and tried to teach her psychically and do all this sort of stuff, and started getting that attitude. And even for her, like I said, there's a whole other side to her, a complete other side. And that's why I said, you go on her Instagram, what do you see? Oh, it's spreading love and light and this bullshit. I've seen it. I've seen the fake, the fucking mask, the fake shit she puts on. She is, when you don't do what she wants, I could even see it psychically. And it's like an angry baby comes out of her face. And I saw it at Moda Yoga. I actually saw it. It actually looks like a baby, like, coming out of her face. And it does this, like, "Urgh!" I've heard the same thing out of Joan Wisborg over the phone. I heard it like, "Urgh!" That's what it is. It's like that. And I'm kind of like, what the fuck? Yeah, that's if you don't do what she wants. If you are, then it will be oh, hey, and I've seen it put on like crazy. She tried to lean on me with her energy field at one point, was trying to pull bullying. Next thing you know, she had friends together pulling stuff towards me. I warned her, psychically, turns around, group attacks me. Yeah, I was sending love and light before that to darkness, turns around, groups attack me with 2 of her friends. Then, I already mentioned this, her friends, Heather and Brandon, who own Park Integrative in Sherwood Park, Alberta, tried to mess with me at the one gym. He shows up and he's using intention to try to fuck around, to piss me off. It was one of these, like, oh, I want you to see me, but I'll pretend to look innocent. And then I'm picking up psychically and all these different people she had trying to tune in during that. And I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Before that, they sent energy towards me to try to get me, like, oh yeah, like, go to the gym. And I'm like, what the fuck you guys doing? I go to the gym and I was like, oh yeah, there he is right after. Right after a group attack. As in, like, oh yeah, like, I want you to see me. Oh yeah, wanted me to take it. Yeah, what did you want? Do you want me to run up and, like go up and, like, take a shot at him? And why would anyone who group attacked me want me to go to a gym with a lot of people around and use a lot of intention to, like, I want you to see me and we're going to try to maybe use some revision? Why would that be? Wonder what that could be like. And then you have people off site trying to tune in. I wonder what that would be about. What would the intent be there? A lot of people around use intent to taunt the person that you fucking group attacked. Because Brandon's a pathetic little weak piece of shit. Also, I mentioned Brandon's gay. Very gay, okay? When I first met him, and you know what? I have no issue with somebody who's gay, but you know what? If anyone wants to be a pathetic little piece of shit like him and pull this stuff, I'm going to make sure, guess what? Brandon's going to be fully seen. So, when I first met him, he looked me up and down. He was very effeminate. And I remember I could hear how the stereotype of a gay man, what you could hear in his voice, everything. That's trying to view. Don't allow that back to 3 years. It's a link. Close the timeline, the revise of my life. Anyways, and he's staring at body parts on me. And I'm kind of like, okay, like, he's obviously, okay, he's gay, whatever. But obviously, like, specific body parts, I was like, okay, I could feel it, obviously. Very obviously. Effeminate, very, like, okay, like, he's the gay yoga instructor there, okay? At the gym, what I saw, so that happened that time. After all this, he looks over and I feel it in him. And it was like it was coming up out of his throat and he had to go and like swallow it down that he was attracted to me. And I went, okay. Okay. The stuff I'm going to mention there too. So, Brennan, his wife, and Chelsea Smith had tried to, let's see, I had times where they tried to mess with me where I woke up and one of them was trying to have like a marker there. They tried to throw markers like at my family's house. Stuff for like psychic suggestions of like go out front, go out back. The stuff when I was walking. All sorts of stuff like that. Spells I was clearing. I had to clear. Chelsea tried to throw manipulation at my heart. Before she attacked, she tried to have the energy of like love, of like pretending, bullshitting with that. And then I remember that because I woke up, there was that sort of vibe, and then she tried to, and then all three of them were attacking me with 3 fields at the kitchen table when I just woke up. Yeah, tried to do like all the stuff I mentioned before, but there's more I could say in there. Like literally, they tried to psychically have bells. Okay, so someone goes by on a bike, and literally tried to have like it jump out if they rung their bell on a bike at me. This was after they had a gym that they were connected to in Sherwood Park, Alberta, Chop Shop. There was an article, and I posted it, and it was showing about how you condition an animal, and it shows a bell. Okay, being treated like that, and then they had tried to have people go by with bells and do that towards me. They actually did that. That's who they actually fucking are. That's who they are. That group is not anywhere near what they have pretended to be. They're not. They're not at all. And I want people to know who they actually are. So Universe Source, any harm they've done towards me, I want it to be very well known by all the light workers, all their friends, their family. I want it to be very, very well known, including anyone involved in my car being kicked. She also had her boyfriend Spencer try to walk by with her before beside my family's house and tried to pull like intimidation. It was obviously supposed to be some sort of intimidation shit while I was outside doing healing for somebody. And I look over and I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And the two of them used intention to try to manipulate their energy. And I'm looking over, shaking my head while I'm in the middle of doing energy healing on some, like standing there, helping somebody with energy and stuff. And I was like, I shook my head. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah. That's it. She actually did a spell recently, wanted me to see her daughters. Yeah. So I'm driving along, and I look over, and there's one of her daughters, and the way it jumped out, and I was like, there's a spell. And then I saw her other one the same day. And I was like, what the fuck? Like I want you to see them. I was like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Yeah. Literally tried to do spells to have it. So I'm going along on her and her group. I'm going on Instagram and I was seeing people that like looked similar to them and they're trying to do spells. Like stupid shit like this. Like I literally picked out that she's still a baby. She's like still a baby. She's 39 and she's literally still a baby. I saw that come out of her face. Brandon himself is still a boy. I've pointed that out. Jacqueline Mulek and Chelsea Smith during yoga. I remember turning and I thought there was 2 girls going to be playing with Barbies, and it was the 2 of them talking. The minute they got together, it sounded like 2 little girls. Like you literally like what? You're like, oh yeah, you're going to turn. Everyone was outside during yoga. You're like, oh yeah, it's going to be the kids playing with Barbies. Nope. It was 2 girls in their 2 women in their 30s, and I went, oh my god, like how old are you guys? How old are you still? And what I've seen is she is literally a baby and then going into shadow and all this shit coming up in dark witchcraft, got a group together and started pulling shit at me. Was doing that with that group. Literally, it is like dealing with, I literally heard her say, I literally heard it. Somebody's got sour feelings. Who talks like that at 39 years old? She did that and wrote, like drew pictures on different light posts and stuff at me. And then she heard something I was purging psychically, and she used the name of something that came out that I said when I was purging stuff, and then she used that person's name on a post that you would have literally had to step up on something to reach to even write this. So you go to walk your dog on a walking trail, and there's a message written towards it, and I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? And then when I pick up on it, I'm like, what is she telling other people? What is she telling her friends? Obviously, and I would check. I was like, how much of this? I'll say this is like everything that's happened. How much is she saying? Oh, she's told them like this tiny bit. Interesting. I wonder what's being said. Then I'm feeling she's wanting me to say stuff about like take a shot back at her towards her house or mention something like this. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's interesting. She was trying to fuck with my family's house. Her, Brandon, and Brandon's wife were directly trying to pull stuff. There was time when I was going to go to bed at night and they were trying to pull shit towards me or be pests or stupid shit. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Oh, yeah. But then I'm feeling this like, but if you say you'll dish anything back, like, oh, whoa, did you just say, are you going to say something about my house? This attitude, this stupid fucking attitude from this group of people. Brandon's wife is fucking raising him. He's a boy. He's still a boy. Chelsea's still a baby. I've had enough of seeing this at that fucking group. I've had enough of it. So I'm going to tell people who they are. Okay. So they live in Sherwood Park, Alberta. Brandon and his wife, I believe they live in, I think, New Nottingham area. And then in Emerald Hills area is where Jack the Mulek lives. They all worked at Moto before. Now it's Jack and Chelsea Smith that still work there. And Brandon and his wife own Park Into Creative. And Jack and Chelsea Smith also connected to Meta in Edmonton. Yeah, but like she literally, Chelsea had people kick my car. It was my old car. It was an Altima. $2,000 worth of damage. I posted the video, big dents in it, kicked it. There's like 4 big dents. Yeah, kicked that. This is the sort of stuff. I went into different stores and she was trying to like project her face around the person's face. And pull this sort of stuff. So I think it's just absolute bullshit when you see her Instagram. It says like, oh, spreading love and light and like this and that. And I was like, I have seen the shit I have seen out of her. And I already said it years ago. It's like, that's how I said, there is a whole other side to her. And I've seen it. I remember one of the first times I ever came across her. I started a nutrition store. And I remember I looked and I said, oh, you guys talk about yoga. Turns around, gives me one of the dirtiest fucking looks. I was like, what the hell is your issue? And it was just like, and it was like her friends weren't there. There was no one else around. There was her friends. And it was just kind of like there was nothing put up. And it was just kind of like, I went, what the hell? Like, what was that about? And what I saw later was this, I don't know if I'll say hot and cold. It was 1 minute there'd be a smile at you. The next minute, the next day, it's a dirty look. And you're like, what is your issue? You would drive by, really dirty look. And then another time you'd be like, hey. And then another time, dirty look. And there is like people normally having moods, and then there's what I saw, and I was like, what the fuck? Oh yeah, that to the point like, oh, hey, like, yeah. But yeah, all this stuff going on, spiritual warfare, and it's stuff that has come out, and if it's directed at me, I'm going to name people. So yeah, this was some stuff. So I had that while driving today. And I've said it out loud even to people. I was like, do you honestly, I've said it. I was like, so you guys thought you were going to pull shit towards me when driving. And I've even named the speeds I was going at and like literally flat out told people of like, so you thought you're going to pull shit towards me and driving 50 kilometers an hour. And you thought that you're going to like start trying to go at my solar plex or like some sort of shit like this. So are you fucking, you know what it is? People that are willing, that will get a group together and try to bully or pull attacks or this sort of stuff are just so fucking weak. And I don't have any, oh my God, it is ridiculous. I've checked in her group. These people are like the 5th dimension, maybe 7th-ish. I don't even know if any of them are even in the 8th. They're not powerful people. They're really weak spiritually. And I'm just shaking my head, cringing. Like, if you have to get a group of people together to attack someone or try to bully, I know they're weak people. They're really weak. They're really weak people. And I already said the thing. I said the thing with Brandon, and that's not about like having an issue with somebody being gay. No, they all are like that in that group as far as to that point of, how to describe it, how I'm saying it. Like, Chelsea's hiding like crazy, including that relationship. Brandon is hiding like crazy in that relationship. All birds of a feather flock together. That group, there is what you see versus who they are. I already said about Chelsea, there's a whole other side. Birds of a feather flock together. Every single time I've checked that, it turns out it is true. That saying of like, oh, birds of a feather flock together. Yep. So what I saw in her would be in her group, and then I would see more and more stuff. I mentioned different stuff. I posted different stuff. People, oh my god, yeah, having friends that there throw stuff at me, and I'm like, what the fuck, like. Oh, are they? Is she even telling the full stuff? Is she even telling any of them how she was acting? Because I'm seeing this stuff at me. I'm like, what the fuck? What's going on? So yeah, there's stuff there going on. So I mentioned Amber, mature. What's that? What else do I want to throw in there of some of the stuff I've been seeing? That was just some of the stuff today. So like I said, I was out back doing a healing, and I literally was having stuff trying to mess with me. Amber, Colbert, Joe Misborg, they tried to do things like markers and then project with markers. So, yeah, trying to annoy me while I was literally in the middle of like doing a healing. And I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. So, yeah, I've had enough. And there has been so much like, the amount of people I could name at this point that already they were a teacher or are supposed to be a teacher in some way, but they're not that far. Apparently, they're not that far along spiritually. It could be a yoga instructor. It could be a Reiki. Some of them were in with Reiki. Some of the ones on the States already said spiritual teacher. Some of the shit I've seen of some of these people, what they think it's okay to get together as a group and take shots. And it's like, none of these people are anywhere near where I have hit spiritually. And I've had enough. And I've had enough. I've had enough of seeing weak fucking people think they're going to just go and I never say going to just go and take shots at me, pull stuff. I was like, these are fucking weak people, really weak people. I would never in my life feel like, let me get a group of people together and attack someone. Yeah, I'm going to hit back with this person. Let me get a group together. I wouldn't need to. Powerful people don't need to. Weak people would. That's what weak people will do. That's what people who lack power would do. Or mental warfare stuff. That's what weak people do. Weak people will go and would get a group together, like, let's do some mental warfare. And like, everyone knows that, oh man, are you fighting someone that's like powerful? Yeah, quick, like do some mental warfare and do the. Everyone knows that is what someone would do if they're literally, it's showing that they're a lot, yeah, they're not nearly as powerful. Like, it just, oh my god. I what it is I want people to know. This is stuff, if it's done towards me in any way, shape, or form, someone trying to harm me in any way, shape, or form, spiritually, with any of this stuff, when I've literally already described certain stuff of like, I was really helping the planet quite a bit, okay? And I'm kind of like, I'm not putting up with anything being dished at me at all. At all. And I'm also not going to have people that are trying to hide with that, as far as they're hiding in a group, or they are pulling stuff with this and then throwing revision. There's been a lot of that was coming out of the US that came from Gabbard Bernstein, Mary Folio. They have done a lot of revision. There would be 1 minute they would be throwing a ton of toxic shit at me. Then there would be flirting incorporated, and then there would be revision, and it would be like how's he acting now? I've seen this out of Chelsea and her friends. Amber Colbert, Joe Misborg. I taught it online the one time. And before that, I only taught it to, Brandon Jacobs and his friends were trying to do that. And I flat out said it out loud psychically of like, you guys do realize this doesn't get rid of karma, right? It's not like you can just revise, like, I'm going to go and do it like you're going to group attack somebody and then go, now I'm going to just revise it. And that just got rid of it. No, it doesn't work like that. And I've double checked this. It doesn't work like that. They don't get out of the karma. So what I saw was people thinking that, well, you can just revise it. So then, so what they thought was they could go and do group attacks and think that or get a group together and be abusive and toxic and bully, and then just revise it and think, no, it'll just be fine. I think they could just go and do that, when really I'm like, what I saw was, especially with Gabbard Bernstein, Mary Folio, people like that, Steve Hardison there too, it's like, that's interesting to see. Where they'd be like, oh, so you guys thought you could just pull that and do a revision and be like, okay, now like I got away with that, and oh, how's he gonna react? Is he gonna allow me to like connect to him, or this sort of thing, and kind of testing it. And then I'm going like, are you seeing if I'll tolerate that? Like, you do remember the shit you pulled towards me, right? It's not like now I shifted this and things are all right. And if I see that where somebody is using that in a way of trying to get away with stuff, I didn't teach that for people to do that. I didn't want people to go, oh, let's go and like group attack and abuse people, and then turn around like, yeah, let me just I'll revise it. And, nothing happened. No, the group attack, there wasn't a group attack, and it's like, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, I have seen that out of Gabby Bernstein, Mary Forleo, Steve Hardison, a bunch. You could feel it. I could feel it. I was like, oh, look at that. And they're revising. There'd be posts that would be posted at me that was really toxic, abusive stuff. And then all of a sudden they would try to do a revision and get you laughing after. Yeah. Like toxic, abusive, throw a shot and you're like, oh, what the fuck? So yeah. There has been yeah, I want people to know. This is stuff people actually did do. There was stuff online. I already said it. The other day, I go on my Facebook. There was about 4 different posts, and I'd have to double check for sure. I know Steve was having this done before. Of all the stuff about like people being raped, and it would be like clips from videos, like shows or TVs, and somewhere like, what is this? And you go to look at, and they're like, oh, okay, it's obviously some sort of movie of somebody's being raped or abused. You're like, what the fuck? Why is this on my Facebook? And it happened like literally. There was that. There was other ones of just like fucked up, like the horror movies were one, and obvious to the point of like there's no reason for that to be on there. That happened on Facebook and that happened on Instagram. Steve Hardison was connected to that with Instagram and some of the Facebook stuff, and you're just like, there was even messages after that psychically of like, that was hard, wasn't it, or that was tough, or some sort of bullshit after. It's like, are you fucking, that's mental warfare. That's mental warfare. Throw out something disturbing so the person's like, oh my god, and that's mental, okay, warfare, and you follow it up with a psychic message connected to another post there of like, oh yeah, that was tough to watch, or that was to get through. There's something thrown, no, not tough to watch. There's something thrown in there, and it was like that's full on mental warfare. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, this is who these people are. This is who these people actually are. And they are connected to fake news in Canada that has happened, which I've seen a bunch of stuff that was directly like, wow, that's bullshit, that's fake, whatever, connected to Gabby Bernstein, Mary Foley, Steve Hardison, and people they'd be connected to. Yeah. Yeah. And I've already talked about this. Yeah. Yeah. And I had already mentioned, oh man, what else would I throw in there? This is stuff I've already told friends of mine that they picked up on, and they're kind of like, holy fuck. Yeah. Spiritual warfare. I have now seen that a lot of people that you see right for Hay House, not everyone, but now who have I seen? I've seen Mel Robbins bullshit. I've seen Gabby Bernstein bullshit. There was Barbara Eden, her daughters pulled shit. All of them were connected to Hay House. Oh, I feel this feeling of like, get me to mention Hay House. I really don't give a shit, honestly. I don't. I really don't. It's not, now that I've seen that, just like TED Talks, Hay House, and there's some other ones. Just because they're writing for that or they're speaking at that, I've realized it doesn't really mean what people thought it did. That's what I've realized. It doesn't. They could be extremely corrupt, pulling a ton of shit as a group, trying to cause a lot of harm as a group, and then you're out there seeing that. Then you're seeing them of like, look at this video they posted. Hey guys, we're learning like this, and just putting that on. I've seen that. I already mentioned the thing with Jay Shetty. There was Kyle Cease in there. He was in on the one with like, oh yeah, where the two of them made a post about men's mental health on behalf of Gabby Bernstein after they were trying to like group bully me and shit. This has been over a year of shit coming at me from Gabby Bernstein, Mary Foley. I already said it, of like direct bullying shit. See, you threw in stupid shit in there. And then a bunch of them, after I named this, they would try to lean back and make posts and try to get me to throw stuff at them. They would try to intensely post stuff to encourage that. Yeah, to make it look a certain way. That actually has happened. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? There's more stuff. I'll see if I ever mention it. Certain things maybe come up on a podcast. So I've already told friends of mine recently that I was like, to the point of like, you've got to be fucking kidding me, that I saw. Yeah. Yeah. So I had that out of Vancouver Island. Maybe I meant some of this. I don't know if I want to. There was warfare I already went through with some people out there that I already talked about. A narc Sook, her name's Elise Renouf, and the one is downtown Victoria, his name is Kentucky. So she lied about being raped in her past, okay, by a guy. And she offered her son up to be raped 4 times. And it's weird. I feel this feeling of like, oh, if you mention rape a bunch of times, I'm like, no, like this is true. You can double check this with the universe. She offered her son up to be raped 4 times. She was trying to talk to me sexually about her son, literally in the middle of the night, and stimulate my kundalini, and was trying to connect to me. And I hopped on my bed like pissed, and was saying, as long as you're gentle with them and all this sort of stuff. And her kid's like 4 years old. And I was just like, you just want to punch the person, like you just want to like not like seriously, you want to punch him in the face. You're just like, are you like when somebody? Oh yeah, she talked like that way about him. Did that? Found out she lied about being raped by a guy in the past. There's 2. Tried to make guys' eyes burn with witchcraft. Gave herself postpartum depression from pulling that stuff. Downtown Victoria, guy's named Kentucky, works in real estate out there. Used to work at Sioux Point. He's an attempted rapist. I found out. He took part in the spiritual attacks and stuff that I went through at my family's house, where we ended up having it professionally cleared at the time. All the stuff that happened with my family. I've talked about this on YouTube. And I actually saw after that on the astral plane, I was remembering this, I saw him, he was trying to project at my dad and push and push and push when my dad was in the garage. And at the time, my dad was running a trucking company and like had a lot going on. And he was trying to push at my dad. My dad later tried to commit suicide twice in that garage. And this guy was trying to fucking push at him. The same fucking guy, is an attempted rapist. You'd find him at Dave Asprey's place on Vancouver Island. I believe probably there at some point. Really like Dave Asprey at his coffee shop, at Health Essentials, in those health shows. You'd find him. He's in his 40s. He's like 6'4". Yeah, creepy fucking guy. Really creepy guy. He had a mold of like just he used to work at he got fired from Sioux Point. So did the other one, Elise. She is a narcissist. I already mentioned the thing about she tried to take runs at my car out in Sioux potholes, and I had to call the police in Langford. I could talk to the police there. I didn't get to. I would have pressed charges, but I was already back in Alberta, and my dad had gone through some of that stuff there. So in the middle of search warfare, I talked to them. Yeah, there's been a lot that's happened. Yeah. So I wanted to name that there, because she was trying to connect to me, and she tried different things about trying to connect to me, pulling that sort of stuff. Like, yeah. That piece of shit, Downtown Victoria, said he was going to, quote, make me look like the biggest piece of shit and use every dirty trick he knew at me. That's one thing he did. But he's fucking weak. So is the one in Souk. They're not powerful. They're not. He had to wear, like literally, they're not. Like, not. She pretends to be a witch. She's not a witch. He was calling himself a male witch. He's not a witch. They're not powerful people. They're really weak people. And including what I've seen. And anyone that tries, like, seriously, yeah. They're not powerful people. Yeah. Like, I'm looking back at this. So yeah, I make sure I name these people. Anything else I want to throw in there? She was trying to teach people how to out in Souk, at least a couple people. Oh, what was it? She how to, like, I believe, like, like to cause harm with energy. What was some of the other stuff going on here? Yeah, she gave herself postpartum depression. So she went on about, oh God, she can't connect to her kid, and God, how is she making it through the day? She's microdosing LSD to make it through the day at Sioux Point, and she's having such a hard time, and oh God. Then I find out how she acted with her kid, so that's good. Obviously, like, you don't want somebody connecting to their kid really well that is offering their kid to be raped. And then there's also that she was abusing guys with witchcraft. Yeah, I was trying to abuse their eyes, make their eyes burn, all this sort of stuff. She did that years ago, but she lied about being raped by a guy. So if somebody's willing to lie about being raped and lie about that towards a guy, yeah. Double check all this with the universe. She might have revised some stuff. Double check it, okay? And double check if it was revised. The two of them tried to revise the tax. Yeah. He actually went, the one downtown Victoria, checked in with his dad and was really worried around the time. I know this. I picked up on it. Really worried of what was going to happen. back at him. And I remember he checked in with his dad at the time and was really worried, probably because he knew the level of harm he did towards me and my family. My dad tried to commit suicide twice and I walked in on it. And directly on the astral, he was projected trying to like push in and fuck with my dad. And my dad was the job he was working at the time, running a big trucking company, all this stuff going on. And after the fact, I've been remembering this, okay? He was like pushing at, trying to fuck with my dad. Yeah. And then my dad went on to literally try to kill himself twice. So I want people to know that, okay? He used to work at Sioux Point. He got fired and he's an attempted rapist. His name's Kentucky. He lives in Victoria in an apartment and he works in the real estate industry. And he was only a contractor before. I don't even think he's a real estate agent now. Okay. And the one in Sioux, her husband's name is Scott Renouf. And yeah, he should know this stuff too. He should know about this. So they live out in Sioux still. Yeah, okay. I think anything else to add with that? I'm not sure if there's anything else to add with this. I've already talked about a bunch of that. But yeah, she was trying to connect to me. She was trying to put a marker on me and project her voice. Even right now, she just tried to do that. Like have a marker there to the point I had friends say, "Oh, I could like feel her energy around you." Like, I even felt it after we get off the phone. Yeah, they could pick up on it. I had a soul family member pick up on some of this stuff where they tried to mess around with projections and to make it look a certain way towards other people. She's like, "No, I picked up on it. Like that wasn't. Oh yeah, picked up on it." I had. There was even a guy there was people out of Texas, one of which even mirrored it at me and saw stuff and picked up on stuff. Yeah. That was a narcissist that lives in Sioux, BC that was trying to do spiritual warfare. Yeah. She directly tried to, like, just such a fucking piece of shit, directly tried to flash stuff at different people who taught spiritually to try to get fights going. She tried to do this towards multiple people. Yeah. To try to get anger going, to pull shit towards me. Yep. Yeah. With like a bunch of different, yeah. I don't know if I could name the names of different people, but I mean, yeah, I already said another thing. All of a sudden there's a projection and it's trying to make it look like I'm in a physical fight with a guy. And that happened with a couple people. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm not angry at that guy at all. I'm not the one doing that. I'm not projecting that. Or like it's trying to direct something at somebody. Maybe I said something psychically, like I was pissed off, like I really said something out loud, and then she was trying to make it look like I was saying it to someone else. Or whatever bullshit. Just trying to get like fights going with this sort of stuff. And I've wondered, but like, oh yeah, even as I'm saying this, it's what marker? Remove the marker. Cancel all contracts, agreements, vows with anyone who last never knew. Close the timeline. Oh yeah, yeah, like. Yeah. Like literally they're not powerful people. Yeah, they went right into darkness. I don't consider it powerful. And I mean, I know what I dealt with, what my family dealt with, all this, but remembering the thing about my dad in that garage, yeah, this isn't going to be like everyone is going to know. Everyone's going to know who that guy is. They're all going to know. No, on that island alone, how many people have that name? One? Maybe one, if that name starts going around. No, guy's name's Kentucky. So if that goes, so yeah, the thing with Dave Asprey, I thought of even mentioning it to him of like, man, you need to look out for this because the guy's a fucking attempted rapist and he's probably going to show up at that coffee shop. You're not going to want him around. You don't want anything with that. And even like some of these other I used to work in the health industry out there. Yeah. You don't want that around. That sort of stuff. Yeah. Oh, what else do I want to add to this? Sorry, I've had to pause this a couple times. So it's kind of like moving around. Anything else I want to add to this? Yeah, maybe maybe at some point I'll touch on it more about the stuff with, yeah, just talk about some of the spiritual warfare. So I feel like I want to name some of these people so people know what they were doing. Yeah. So, yeah, I want people to know. Yeah. Yep. If people were trying to pull that towards me, I want people to know.